A few years ago now, me and my mom noticed an increase in strange events in our house, doors opening, unexplained sounds, etc., until one night my mom thought I was crying in the hallway, only to find no one was there, despite distinctly hearing female sobbing. Fast forward a month exactly, and I was in the hospital for severe DKA with a new diagnosis of type 1 diabetes. Once I got back home and my health returned to normal, the encounters stopped. We both believed that the crying was a deceased relative, specifically a grandmother. The details aren't important, but we have reason to associate it with her, who had been warning us, similar to a banshee. I had mostly forgotten about this until a few months ago when I also thought I had heard a woman crying softly, but didn't think much of it until my dad had a stroke a few weeks later. Anyways, I was just wondering if anyone had any similar experiences to share, or any insight to provide in this experience. I live in New Mexico, on a military base. A few nights ago, I was falling asleep. Nothing out of the ordinary that day, but sometime in the middle of the night, I was woken up with loud ringing in my ears and this incredible sense of dread and fear. I opened my eyes to my room. No strange or out of place objects, nothing that isn't in my room right now as I type this. At the foot of my bed I saw this vague, lanky dark figure with a head shaped a little like an almond. It had no distinguishing features other than these piercing blue eyes that didn't seem to be affected by the fact it was dark in the room, almost like a flashlight, but they didn't project any light onto me, just that they were much brighter than anything in the room. I haven't felt fear like this in years. I tried to yell, but all I could muster was these distraught moans. Eventually I was able to wave an arm around, however my arm was very heavy and I didn't have much control over it. I waved my arm around and continued to moan for what felt like a few minutes before I assume I fell back asleep and woke up the next morning. Was this just a really messed up dream? Sleep paralysis? Or something else entirely? I just want to make sense of it. Hey, this happened years ago, but it just made me really curious. This happened a few years back, in my childhood home. My mom is an extremely hygienic person. The house is always spotless, cleaned, mopped and vacuumed daily, and the windows are cleaned 3 or 4 times a week. Inside and out. So, the day before, everything had basically been cleaned. We went to bed, and next morning we all head downstairs for breakfast. My mom goes into the kitchen, and what we saw was terrifying, to be honest. The whole window, full of flies. Not moving, all dead. Some appeared like they were still climbing up, as if a video was paused on them. I heard my mom complain about her ex's family doing voodoo on her, as they were involved with that in their culture or something. My mom is Christian, so she immediately started cleansing the house in her way. A few days later, maggots. Hundreds of them, most dead, some alive, barely. We cleaned them out, got poison for pest control and cleansed the house again. It has not happened again, but my mom often would say that my brother used to be cursed as well by them when he was younger. Now I don't hear her anymore about it, and my brother's behavior has improved a lot. He is 5 now. Anyone knows what this could have been? Has anyone encountered granola-like people? I am a 20-year-old male, and for years I've witnessed 2 granola-textured people. My first encounter was at the age of 5 when I lived in my home in Kansas. They were about 3 feet 2 inches tall, with yellow eyes and skin that was textured like granola. I would wake up in the middle of the night to see these 2 things staring back at me. I would often just close my eyes really hard or turn the other way. The countless times I'd tell my parents, they'd brush it off as a kid, just being a kid, understandable. Although one day when I woke up after them being there the previous night, there were 2 sets of tiny handprints on my bedside. They weren't human handprints, but more of 2 sets of where someone put their fingerless hands. The handprints were made up of a disgusting smelling granola textured substance. My parents, baffled by it, brushed it off as me having a midnight snack. These encounters happened the entire 3 years I lived in Kansas. Now I've lived in several other states where I continued to encounter these things. Now I understand as a child we are impressionable to certain things, but I know I physically saw these things and continued to see them well into my teen years. I have encounters in the other states I've lived, but this post would be an essay. I was brushing my hair, when I looked left of the mirror. There was a shadow all the way on the corner of the bed standing up. As I continued to watch it, it started moving from one corner to the next. No moving lights, no window curtains opens, impossible for car lights to get in. I live next to a brick building, the street view is blocked. I was not scared oddly enough, I was just watching walk down behind the bed. Anyone else have this? I would consider myself sensitive. I have seen what I would call shadow people all my life. Growing up, I lived with my mom, grandma, and great-grandma in a big house in Georgia. My grandma began to play with a Ouija board sometime before I was born. That turned into an obsession per my mom. At about 4 years old I began to have sleep paralysis. I remember getting dragged out of my body by my foot from a huge dark figure. We ended up moving out of that house and into an apartment with my mom's fiancé at the time. I was 5 years old. I remember us going to the pool one day. My mom was taking too long in the bathroom adjusting her hair/bikini. I started to grow impatient and was standing in the hall asking when we were leaving. I saw the large black shadow. I said, "Mom, there he is." The shadow man. It had walked into a different bathroom at the end of the hall. It heard me, turned around and started quickly running after me like it was going to attack me. I screamed, pushed her out of the way and dove into our bathtub in the fetal position screaming. Around this time, my mom went to our Catholic priest to get some advice for her rocky relationship with her then fiancé. She took me with her, and being a 5-year-old, I told the priest, "Is it normal to see shadow people? They're really tall, sometimes red eyes and scary." I dumped it all onto this man. Of course my mom was mortified. The priest looked at my mom and said, "We need to just pray." She told him my grandmother played with a Ouija board and he suggested we stay away from her. Fast forward a few years, I would be playing outside many times and see it standing in the distance just watching me. I continued to see the shadow man in my peripheral vision until I was 16 or so. Then it stopped. I am now 30 and have insomnia and what many would call hypnagogic hallucinations. I just moved in with my fiancé a few months ago and having a hard time adjusting sleeping next to him all the time. At least once a week I have been waking up and see the tall, pitch black figure standing beside me, or next to my fiancé. I loudly scream each time and of course my fiancé wakes up screaming too. He is disturbed by what I tell him I see so we don't discuss it. I have been to a psychic asking what this is. She got uncomfortable and ended our session. I was somewhat hurt by this. I was just sharing my truth and wanted answers. If anyone is curious, I would consider myself a good person. So I don't know why this figure follows me. I am a registered nurse and love to help my patients. I love animals, nature. But the shadow man has followed me and I don't think it will ever go away. I was at the gas station with a few friends. We were getting gas and I had just a weird feeling all morning. I look at my Snapchat story views and they are 666 with 6 screenshots. Me and my friend immediately both notice and make eye contact and I shut my phone off. Time passes, we're still in the same spot waiting for our friend to get out of the store and a truck pulls in next to us. The man that got out had sunglasses on and I just got a feeling when I saw him. About 10 more minutes go by just us sitting there and he walks out again but with no glasses on. He stands in front of me and smiles with his teeth and his eyes were completely black. His bottom eyelashes were very thick and probably an inch long. I whispered to my friend, "Look at that man's eyes," and she saw his side profile and turned ghost white. I got tears in my eyes and goosebumps. So last year on Day of the Dead me and my sister were preparing the altar and it was maybe around midnight and the altar wasn't finished but me and my sister got sleepy so my sister went to the bathroom to brush her teeth and stuff and I stayed in the living room. I was on my phone reading a comic. When I heard like small tapping in the kitchen that kinda freaked me out so scooted away from the kitchen and I remember everything being dark so I turned on my phone flashlight but it didn't really help but then my sister came out of the bathroom and we went to sleep but in my sister's point of view I was holding my phone with the flashlight on when the lights were on. She found it funny at first but then she noticed me staring at the wall with a blank stare and it freaked her out but then I snapped out of it and went to the hallway and I walked to my bedroom normally but I didn't remember looking at the wall. All I remember is her coming out of the bathroom and her walking me to my room. Also all the animals were acting weird that night. Okay, so to give some context, me and my family moved into a new apartment. Our old apartment was haunted. I would constantly have sleep paralysis and hear footsteps coming from the storage unit above us and it would always stop in my room. And when we moved I thought that I could kind of be free from this paranormal shit but I think it followed me. Okay, so to the main story. Last summer around 2 a.m. I got up to use the restroom. I left my bedroom door open so I could see the light from my room. After I got out of the bathroom I turned off the light and was about to go back to my room when I saw a tall black shadow man. It was peeking its head out of my room with its long and pointy fingers on the wall. I didn't know what to do. I just froze and stood there looking at it. It was breathing hard and what felt like hours it finally moved. It mumbled something but I couldn't quite hear what it said. It dragged its fingers along my wall and slowly went back into my room. I have seen shadow people a lot in my life. I've seen ghosts and all that paranormal shit but they've never interacted with me. Please tell me what to do, thank you. I'm 23F and I don't know if I'm just hallucinating or something. I used to work at this fancy spa in my city. The building itself was around 100 YRS old. They did some remodeling so it looks pretty good for 100 YRS old. It's a hotel with 10 floors, the 10th floor was the spa I worked at. Anyways, with the building being 100 YRS old, lots of stories about ghosts were always being talked about. Before, I would sometimes see shadow people and I'm not sure how to explain it but feel that someone or something was there. This would happen sometimes outside of the spa. Back then I was still pretty new at my job so I was kinda slow with doing services and as a result I'd be the last one out the door. The only ghost stories I've heard so far at that point was of a lady whose fiancé passed a few days before their wedding. They were staying on the 8th or 9th floor or something and she was very upset to the point where she passed in her hotel room. One night I was cleaning my tools at the sink. I was the last one there like usual and in this dispensary room, where we keep tools, products, etc. I always felt people walk in and out as if they had to be somewhere. The actual people felt the same as these things that kept walking in and out of the room, the presence. Anyways, I was focused on getting out ASAP since it creeped me out but I saw and felt this little short shadow. I'm 4'11" and a half and this little shadow was around the height of my waist. I looked down to my right side and it ran away like a child getting embarrassed. At that point I was so freaked out that I just rushed cleaning my tools and left ASAP. A few days later I was talking to the director's daughter. She works there every now and then. I didn't know it before but she absolutely is obsessed with the ghosts of the hotel so she knew more stories than me. I told her about a short shadow I saw. It looked like it was carrying a stuffed bear toy or something in its arms. She asked if it was a girl or boy but I really couldn't see anything other than the shadow and a toy. She told me that a long time ago this hotel was a hospital or something and that there was a little girl and a little boy. They would play hide and seek and stuff. One day the little girl passed in the hospital and other people have claimed seeing her. Ask people, have you seen my brother? I had absolutely no idea of this story before talking with the director's daughter. Did I see the little girl or was I hallucinating? My mom's side always has had experiences with the paranormal. I'm not a skeptic but I've never seen ghosts as people and in detail. They're always just shadow people or I can feel a presence. Hi everyone, my girlfriend from now 6 months have recurring weird sleep episodes, sleepwalking, talking in her sleep and night terror where she tell me that she saw things. When these kind of episodes happen, I reassured her every time, saying there is nothing and that I'm here for her. That calmed her down every time. I'm starting to be used to these episodes. 2 weeks ago, she told me that she saw a scary woman near her face when she woke up. She was saying it was a night terror episode and we both believed it. But last night, I slept at her place. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a woman's silhouette standing near my girlfriend. At first, I was sure it was my girlfriend, but fast enough, I realized she was still in bed, next to me. I then looked at the silhouette. It was a woman, back to me, but her head was turned toward me and she had a creep smile. She had long black kinky hair. At first, I was sure it was just an hallucination, since I was just sleeping a minute ago and that this vision was gonna fade away. But no, she didn't move an inch. I was still seeing her. She was stuck in a loop, back to me, turning her toward me with a creep smile. I analyzed the situation, still thinking it was an hallucination. I just closed my eyes and fall back asleep. In the morning, I talked to my girlfriend about that. When I described the woman, she told me to stop laughing at her. I told her I lied, just to reassure her, but I'm pretty sure we saw the same thing. She's gonna move at the end of the month. But in the meantime, what should I do? I don't feel she's in danger, but oh man, that is scary. For past context, I am very familiar with the paranormal and used to make jokes that a spirit had attached itself to me because of all the unusual feelings and sights. Presences are a big part of it, and I will frequently find turning to a certain part of the room to make a comment about a show or small talk to the presence I feel is there, until I remember I'm home alone. These are minor interactions and happen less frequently since I've moved, but I always felt safe during these crowding moments. This week was different. I came home from work mid-afternoon and immediately walked to the bathroom. I was about to reach my hand inside the doorway to turn on the light when I froze because I swear there was something evil in there. I pulled my hand back and looked inside to confirm I was being paranoid, but I saw a towering black humanoid figure with crazy hair sticking out all different directions looming over me, standing right in front of the light switch just inside the door frame. I backed TF up and was immediately in a weird mindset. When I looked again, the figure was gone, but the feeling remained, so I flipped the light and did my business with a weird chill on my body. The walls looked really weird too, where everything looked soft and sharp at the same time, and these visuals and off feeling persisted down the hallway to my bedroom. However, once I entered the bedroom, all of this stopped and my boyfriend, who was previously napping, questioned why I looked so freaked out. I explained all this and walked back down the hall to the bathroom to check again, but everything was back to normal and the evil feeling was gone. I have seen plenty of shadow figures before, but never this much detail. At my old house I watched one walk into my bathroom and another one drop to all fours and crawl under my bed, but those just creeped me out more than anything, and there wasn't that evil feeling attached. I don't know what this was, but I don't want to experience it again. I miss my friendly ghost that enjoys watching shitty TV shows with me or trying to join video games with me.
Looking for something to meet your photonic need? Redlight has laser diodes, remote-controlled rooms with lasers mounted on them, USB chargeable laser pens, rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, high-powered lasers that can ignite matches, cat toys. Hell, if you got enough money, they'd probably sell you a Jewish space laser. Welcome to Radlight. Point with precision, present with confidence. Visit us at radlight.dev. Tell them the Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge sent you.
Mosey on down to the Atomic Shaman Trading Post. We have t-shirts, decals, refrigerator magnets and other swag for sale. What better way to show your support for the show? Our merch can only be found on t.pub/lit/Atomic Shaman Trading Post. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.